Although I know I look like shit, I feel a lot worse. I don't even want to make this video, but it's I just have to do it, so I'm going to get quick into this. I'm going to have to talk about pop culture religion at the moment, which is just taking me by storm because I just grew up thinking that no one believed in this shit, but it's very real in the world. So I'm going to talk again very quickly and briefly through Satanism and Luciferianism as quickly as possible. Put on an iron shut. So I'm going to start with Lucifer. That's easy to talk about. God had an angel in his heart area, and when creation happened or the fall happened, that angel wasn't happy about it, overseeing all the horrible things that we would do to one another over all the period of time and through the form of human, which was like a special form. So like the fact that we'd be chopping up humans and doing things and people would be burning, it's bad kind of stuff that form was being damaged or created damaged. So he decided we just sort of wipe them all out, mercifully, and precautiously just destroy them all before they even had a chance. And God was like, no, and let them survive, see a better time. There was conflict between them, and Lucy was sent down among the humans to learn from them and to witness their compassion and their overcoming and their goodness. But then the devil is happy then to be justified in seeing us fail. So the devil, in a way, is a background witness, a backbencher. It is not even present in the world whatsoever until you start calling on it and focusing on it and giving it breath. If nobody called on Lucifer whatsoever in any way, high shape, form, then no one would have to deal with it. The Vatican have to deal with it because other people in Miami, per se, are calling on it on a regular basis and utilising it. Where it's a big, really big angel kind of thing that fell, but it's a fallen angel and it's not supposed to be associated, called on, or thought about. There's lots of other angels there to replace it. In a way, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Islam actually is the place that filled the void for this, and historically, I'm not going to get into that. That's why they're very fiery. So Satanism and Luciferianism get confused very easily because just like Lucifer likes to see us fail in a bit because he's proven right that we're terrible and horrible and didn't deserve our form or our lives, and it was better off that we just entirely get wiped from the face of the earth. Satanism is a bit testing and pushing you like that as well, because in the Book of Job, the only instance we actually see or hear about Satanism is a book which is from ancient time religions, ancient metaphysics. These people were in an apocalypse. They didn't know how to explain what was going on. It was a really well written book for its time to explain how the horrible persecutions and schizophrenia and plagues and pestilence and things that were going on in the world could be explained by a good and merciful God. It's very difficult to account for that. So the Book of Job is the best, really good book, well written book, but it's a very old and outdated book. The Zatan is a poetical device employed in that book to talk about a time when the starlight, was being occupied by, well, the stars in the skylight is like the Dead Poets Society. It was supposed to be there to help you and guide you and be guiding stars. People found out about it over the course of history, and they all wanted their stars, and it's a big trend, and they're everlasting gobstoppers, and anyone only needs one. And the joke about Christianity is actually everybody could only be in one, and it would be really good. But then everyone fighting over everlasting gobstoppers is the mess of the world. Roald Dahl's a very clever man, very informed man. So this ancient book anyway, the Book of Job, and the Zatan is not an angel, he's a servant anyway, an aspect or manifest of God's will, sent to test the sincerities of a really good and righteous and noble, dignified man. This man probably might have had religion in his life, didn't really believe in it, or might have had no religion in his life whatsoever, and was just like, a normal, average day, modern day man walking around the place who doesn't really think about religion so much altogether. And actually there's a justification of atheism that I'm thinking about recently, where like you're just being very prudent and cautious not to believe in anything because the likelihood is you're going to be wrong, so you may as well just not believe in anything. I think God appreciates that kind of atheism in a way sometimes, and that's a weird one. But anyway, so yeah, Zatan was sent to test and really tested and accounted for lots of the biblical plagues that we see that are inflicted upon Job, and his friends and his family and all turned to disdain, and he becomes absolutely devastated, and it seems like it's specifically poured out onto him, and the Zatan seems like this cruel and horrible thing doing it to him, where it's not, it's just the Dead Poets Society. So we filled up the stars in the night sky with horrible, cruel people over the years, like, really bad people, and they're spiteful in a way, Luciferian in a way, because they were cheated in life, they didn't live properly or something. They're cruel anyway. The Starlight's cruel, like, Jewish people wear big hats because back in old times, the fucking sun was hard to deal with, man. In China still, like, the Satanism of the sun was hard to deal with. And in modern times, they're gone stark crazy. It's what causes COVID, I'm certainly sure. And you're also suffering very bad Satanism because Jesus was the rock star. He was kept order under all of it, and the Vatican maintained the order. And that when the Crow finally got their stuff together, and it's been good under one king, where you couldn't mess with the king or take him or steal from him or touch his wife or bride, because that's what leads to an apocalypse. And the apocalypse leads to bad stars, people taking and coveting stars, and that's what leads to bad Satanism. So, like, in retrospectively, and since the revelation of Christ, we've been able to say what was going on back then and why the Zatan was an apparent entity of forces which were very cruel and testing and punishing, and they're all very well read men. They're going to be like most reverends that really know the law and really test. Businessmen practice Satanism a lot because, like I said, it'll destroy everything around you, and like, you can be on a very self-mocking highway to hell. It's a very apparently rich and superfluous life, and you're absolutely just living a satanic joke. And they don't even realize that, but they'll live a satanic joke life very happily. It's a very kind of American culture kind of thing to do, to cusp along with Satanism as if you're enjoying it, and you don't realize that you're just making a joke of yourself. It's self-mockery. So there's a way of explaining a very ancient condition of man, and we were suffering a lot of schizophrenia and a lot of pestilence and a lot of self-torment, and we had to account for it. So in those two ways, there's a synonymous aspect between the dead and spiteful, between the Zatan and testing metenaries, which were human metenaries at one point. They're used against people. They're poured out, like all the things that are kept by God are in bowl are poured out. They're the bowls of the apocalypse. They're bowls which we've seen in Revelations, 7 bowls, and even all your prayers are in one bowl. Because people say hateful prayers. People don't just say nice prayers. A lot of hateful prayer in the world, actually. And Lucy also likes to see humans fail because he's vindicated and justified. So it's weird to think under Christ, ever since Christ, I know we might have only been around for 2,000 years, but we've had this really good order and this really good system where no one's crazy and schizophrenic and no one's tormented and pestilent by a collection of satanic metenaries. And it's weird to go backwards into a Stone Age time, like the Book of Job is like shortly after the flood kind of period. It's very, very ancient, old book, old explanation for a situation that we're not even suffering. So then people call on it, and like you see in Wall Street, if you're lonely, you get a dog because it'll destroy everyone around you, and it's very convenient if you're a businessman for everyone else to be around you to be destroyed. We see this in America a lot, and this is why Satanism is practiced a lot in America, because it'll destroy everyone around you, and you don't mind being lonely and rich, probably. I can tell you, before I go, it's about 10 minutes, considerations. All thought is prayer, all movement is yoga, just to let you know. You don't really need to pray, but if you make considerations on a daily basis, they're very good for you, and it's very hard to make them every day. But if your likelihood in America or the modern world, you're probably suffering a lot of Satanism or even Luciferianism or whatever. You don't need to think about Lucy and all in any way, but these few considerations anyway will help you deal with all that kind of black magic crap, you have to, be honestly hard work, kind of making an enthusiastic effort about your life, but you want some sort of a teleological means ends and things. You want to keep some teleological purpose in life to do with morality and kind of like, not as semblant as Job, but try and have some sort of meaningful relationship with the world, development for the world. Feel like the world is working to help you and you're willing to work with the world. That's what I'm saying. That you're always willing to work, and even you mightn't know how to work, so you make a demonstration like Lent, because if I knew how to change, I would do it. So you could do something like that. You can prove every now and then that you're willing to go the distance and you're willing to change. it's not difficult to overcome. You just have to, not believe that it's a force or an entity, or you have to understand that it's that everything, no matter how apparently cruel, is a revelation of God, and it's supposed to be. It is all supposed to be loving and merciful and a demonstration for you, so you can understand something yourself. God knows your name. God knows everything you're going to do. It's like the question is why exist then, and it's for you to experience it. It's for you to learn. So you need to be learning. That's another big one. So just like it's not hard to overcome. You just need to be say that you're learning, you're making an effort. You have your own kind of hippie enthusiasm about the world being incorporated, or the world is speaking to you. That there's something there that speaks to you. And when you're ready to listen to it, you see like signs all over the place. Like you see signs on the fridge. You'll see signs at a bus stop. Like the world speaking to you and telling you and directing you where you ought to go and stuff. And that no matter how daunting that they are, that they're not. There's nothing to be afraid of. Is what Ben Kenobi says instantly. The first thing loads of other people say. There's nothing to be afraid of. Fear isn't real. If you fear, actually, it's an unwitting implication of atheism, because under God there's nothing to be afraid of. So if you fear, you actually doubt the existence of God accidentally. So fear is actually the thing to be afraid of. It's the only thing to be afraid of is actually fear. That's why Ben Kenobi says there's nothing to be afraid of. Instantly, it's very interesting. So you keep that in mind as well, or you can grow to master, appreciate that there's nothing to be afraid of. Yeah, I had a big prayer, but it was a bit cheesy. Not everyone's kind of theological, and has a good understanding of what Jesus did for us. But at the moment, I just thought, before we go, just like to say we are in a situation of apocalypse at the moment. It's pretty messy, and it's spreading, and they're spreading Babylon, and it's really messy. And it's been 2,000 years since Jesus was supposed to be a gap. They were supposed to mind the gap, and it's just been fucked up and overrun. I think royalty are just all committing suicide because it's such a desperate case. But it is an apocalypse at the moment, and it's year 7 of that apocalypse, so it's famine time. I don't know, this has been a long video. I'm going to make another video on that maybe. But it was an urgent video that I needed to make just about Luciferianism and Zatanism and bad religions. That they're all part of some loving God that's trying to bring order and maintain order and bring order back together and get you on your way and get you all sorted. And as long as you just remember that they are supposed to be positive things in themselves. Lucifer, you kind of see Lucifer as the little devil-looking guy from Heracles, the movie Heracles. He's like, "You're my one last kid. You're my one last shot kid. My last chance kid. So I need a hero out of you." Lucy wants to be wrong and right at the same time. You don't need to think about Lucy. When I think about Lucy is it's none of our business. It's to do with God and Lucy. And we're involved in that situation, I suppose, in a way, but you really are breaking the biggest heartbreak and the biggest separation of all cosmic history. It's really a touchy subject, so I wouldn't even bother yourself and mind your own business, kind of. Okay, this is a long video, but I'll be here less confused.